For 50 years, they've run. Over mountains, through the valleys, forging a route down rivers to a sea named Bering. Navigating their way through their genetic homeland to a finish line that opens a door to glory. A race formed by Reddington, a legacy laced with tradition and mission. For 50 years, a ritual, powered by names like Swenson, Butcher, and Boozer. A commitment like no other, a relationship galvanized over time, and these miles. A race that began to save the sled dog, disappearing from the landscapes that it once helped to tame. And 5 decades later, one man's dream remains powered by will and a desire as big as that country that they conquer. Seavey and a chase for 6.
Looking good, buddy.
Sass and his sights on his first. And 47 other teams vying to open that door to a championship named Iditarod.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Front Street here in Nome, Alaska. It is time to crown a champion of the 50th annual Iditarod sled dog race. I'm Greg Heister, along with 7-time finisher Bruce Lee. And Bruce, here we are again at this finish line, and we're about to hand a trophy to a new champion, we believe.
And he earned it.
Yes, he did.
Because it threw everything at him this year, from warm to dirt to snow, and now we're hearing that they had a heck of a windstorm coming in here.
Yeah, our snow machine crews just in, and they were saying the winds were as bad as they've ever seen, and this is a really experienced crew with the insiders. Yeah,
Sasha, our main snow machine guy, has traveled this trail multiple times, both in the Iron Dog and with the film crew, and he said it was enough that he said the wind was barrel rolling Brent's sled 3 and 4 times, and that when they got to Tobcock, a really famous hill outside of town here, it was kicking up snow and you couldn't see 6 feet away for a while.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at our tracker and just find out exactly where Brent Sass and Dallas Seavey are as we speak. I got to get a little refresh here. But Brent looks like he's not moving at this moment at mile 968. Nome is mile 975. So if this is correct, up to the moment, 7 miles out, Dallas Seavey at mile 959. These two great mushers, I think that they are at the top of their game. Obviously, Dallas Seavey, a 5-time champion. Brent Sass, a multiple winner of the Yukon Quest, trying to earn this first Iditarod victory. We saw a great race over these final, really 400 or 500 miles between these two.
Yeah, and I think the testament to what a competitive race they ran is no other mushers are going to be in here for a day after they finish. I mean, they really broke away this year, and it happened way back they started this race.
Yeah, it's 5:19 locally in Nome, and so we have to go back to yesterday. Bruce, myself, and many of the insider crew were there in White Mountain when these mushers arrived there. Brent Sass was first, followed by Dallas Seavey. And here's what both those mushers had to say when they arrived to White Mountain, 77 miles from the finish line.
Oh, boy. Well, we made it. Oh.
How you feeling?
I'm in shock, maybe? I don't really know yet. It was a really good run this morning, so that was fun. These guys did excellent.
Oh, it's okay. I know.
Yeah, it's a little surreal, to be honest. It's been a hell of a race for these guys. I'm super proud of them. Oh, and I'm tired, for the record.
Are you actually going to sleep this time?
Oh yeah, I'm going to get some sleep here. 8 hours is plenty of time to lay down. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest.
You mean that you're here in front of Dallas still?
Yeah, I mean that I'm here in White Mountain as the number 1 musher at this point, with 1 more run left to go in the Iditarod. It's yeah, kind of a dream.
And you don't win them all. But every 1,000-mile race is, I should say every Iditarod is about, hey, you got one right here, buddy. Facing challenges with your dog team. Our challenges this year just didn't happen to be the competition. It was getting over sickness and doing that sort of stuff. So we succeeded at that. We're here. I think we got a pretty solid lead over third. And Brent ought to be proud. So, good run.
It has been a masterful run by Dallas Seavey. Really got his team nursed back into shape early in this race and put himself in position to win a 6th championship. But Bruce, let's go back to the early days of this race. Seems like it was a year ago, but very, very warm. The snow started to fall. There were changing trail conditions by the hour in the first 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, all the trail reports were in the beginning that it was going to be deep snow and hard-packed trail, and every run it seems like it changed on them, especially that run coming out of Rhone all the way to Nikolai was down to bare dirt. Then once they got past that, it got into a bunch of moguls and beat them up there. Then the weather turned warm. It was spitting rain, almost kind of sleet. So every day they had to adjust how they were running their dogs and the amount different types of foods that they would feed depending on the temperatures, and it never stopped all the way here.
It didn't stop, and we knew right from that start line in Willow that it was going to be warm. It got up to 40, maybe 45 degrees on that opening day. There was fresh snow, nearly a foot of snow fell on that region the day before on Saturday, so it was a changing trail condition that all of these mushers had to deal with. It slowed some teams down, and it also forced others to the front early. As a musher, you've got to be prepared for it all, and we saw this in the first couple of days.
Yeah, and these two guys did kind of the textbook move. They knew the weather was changing constantly, so they made that push to take the 24 and cripple in hopes that a storm would come in behind them and slow down everybody else. And that's the reason right now we're seeing this separation in between those that went to cripple and those that took their 24 elsewhere, because that storm did come in and it just took that run. It was a lot more difficult, more trail breaking for the teams that were chasing. So it's kind of a textbook move, and it worked.
Yeah, it totally did. And man, it's beautiful footage, though we love it when it snows out there on the trail. It makes it difficult for us to get around the trail in our airplanes, of course. But before the race, Bruce, there was all this talk about the Alaska Range being full of snow, the Farewell Burn having a foot or two or even more snow on it. It was going to be like a pillow going across there. The days prior to the beginning of this race, they hit 50 degrees in Nikolai and McGrath, and it changed those conditions, and lo and behold, we're back on dirt and rock on the way to Nikolai.
Yeah, and the mushers were telling me that they wanted to back off from following another team if they were nearby, because so much dust was kicking up that there was just covering their eyes and making it difficult to breathe, not choking them down, but just they didn't want to breathe the dust. But I'm still wrapping my head around the aspect that what they went through, and you just said it was hard for us to fly in airplanes.
Yeah.
We didn't have it quite as hard as they did.
That's true. But I know we had some footage of these teams going through the Farewell Burn. We'll show it to you here, but it was a changing condition. They went from endless amounts of snow to having to run on dirt, and like we said a moment ago, they saw it all on this Iditarod trail. Talk about the dogs, and I know over the years, Bruce, it's been learned that dogs do fine when there's little snow on the trail. It's the mushers that get busted up when they have to travel through those regions because there's no pillow, there's nothing to add padding, and the dogs have traction and they just go. That's
exactly it, and it's in all the races that have historically happened where there was little or no snow. Dogs just can go faster and faster because they can grip the ground. There's no slipping or sliding on icy areas with their booties, and the mushers are at a total disadvantage because all at once you've got more power, more speed. If you go to put in your brake in frozen ground, it just breaks it off the back of your sled. Now you've got nothing to slow them down. And that's when we see those teams come in to Nikolai year after year with busted sleds and have to do a bunch of repairs, and the mushers' knees hurt and backs hurt. And this year again, busted sleds in Nikolai with that run.
Okay, being told that Brent Sass, ladies and gentlemen, about 2.5 miles out now from getting to this burled arch here on Front Street. So we had a lot of snow in the early days, the farewell burn. No snow at all. As we take a look at the insider tracker there, you see Brent Sass 2.5 miles away from a championship here in the Iditarod sled dog race. And by the time we got to the Yukon River, Bruce, the wind started to blow, and then it really blew on the Bering Sea coast. These teams have seen it all in Iditarod 50.
Yeah, but the great thing about these two teams, these guys both have great trail skills. I mean, they aren't just racers. They're great outdoorsmen. They know how to handle their dogs in all those types of conditions, and their positions are a testament to that. I mean, dealing with dog care, adjusting running schedules, adjusting feed, and it's kind of appropriate. It's the 50th anniversary and all the things that have happened in Iditarod, and they got it in one compact race.
Yeah, they certainly did from start to finish. They've seen it all. And you talked a moment ago about all the broken sleds. I mean, Michelle Phillips dealt with it. Mila Porcel dealt with it. Chad Stoddard as well. You have to be part mechanic, don't you, to get down this Iditarod trail when these conditions are like this?
Yeah, and you have to be wise enough in your food drops to take in all the things that you need to do a quick repair. Pete Kaiser told me there were pieces of sled and plastic everywhere out there between Roan and Nikolai, where things were just falling off sleds or plastic was getting ripped off. And actually some of the mushers were picking up pieces along the way to repair their sleds. So it was a hard run for them.
Brent Sass getting close to the finish line here in Nome, and I know Brent has fixed a few sleds over his career as well. You know, this is the 50th annual Iditarod sled dog race. We've talked all throughout this race about a lot of the history over the years. Of course, the race started by Joe Reddington Sr. back in 1973. There have been all kinds of names, iconic names associated with this race. Started with Rick Swenson, Susan Butcher. I shouldn't list them all. I'm going to leave somebody out. But let's talk about Susan for a moment. You knew her well, and we kind of honored her at the beginning part of this race. Susan, 50 years into it, and we still talk about her. We still see her influence over this time.
Yeah, because she was so dedicated to this event. I mean, to sled dogs in general, but she really threw her life into the Iditarod and helped raise the bar on competition, dog care, nutrition. And Brent trains in that area where she lived and around her training camp out there in Eureka, and he's mentioned her as an inspiration these years later and tried to live up to that legacy of those mushers.
And we've got a special piece of video here. We're going to sound up Art, our producer, back in there, and this is Brent Sass thinking about Susan.
We're fortunate to have one of the meccas of dog mushing on our home trails right here. Susan Butcher and Dave Munson's homestead here in Eureka. The energy is amazing. What's up, Susan? Say it every time I go down this trail. Good dogs. All right, guys. Yeah, this team is ready. Bring it on, Iditarod. Whatever you throw at us, we are ready.
And the closing words from Brent Sass there. Bring it on, Iditarod. And certainly Brent has taken his game to this trail this year. We got to talk about Dallas Seavey, the great Dallas Seavey. 5 titles now, and he walked right up to his 6th one this year. Had he got it done, he would have become the only musher in the history of this race to win 6 championships. Bruce won it in 2012 as the youngest, won it again in 2014. Won it again in 2015, 16, and of course last year in that our loop trail in 2021. 8 days, 11 hours. He did it in 2016. He was the traditional course record holder. Of course, Mitch set the real record, 8 days, 3 hours. on that shortened run from Fairbanks in 2017. But Dallas proved to me this is as good a race as I've ever seen him have. He had to get his team back into condition, and we were there in Ruby when he pulled in, and he said they just ate 50 pounds of dog food from Cripple all the way in here. He was excited. He brought him back and put himself in contention. A masterful job by Dallas Seavey.
Yeah, and I think it's a real testament to how these guys do. All of them take care of their dogs, and instead of trying to just push and let his ego drive him to Nome, he realized the best thing to do was back off, get his dogs back to eating. They just quit eating for him, and as he told me, he goes, food in, energy out, and I'm not going to do it without that. And he was able to take care of them, nurse them, figure out when they kind of came up in their spirit, got their appetite, and then he just held his position until that point, and then all at once he could do battle and hang in there, but just a few miles short.
Yeah, just a few miles. And boy, we've seen that a lot over the years in this Iditarod sled dog race. And as we take another look at the tracker, how far away is he, Art? About 1.5 miles, we're being told. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start building some energy out here. We're about to crown another Iditarod champion. Make some noise for Brent Sass. Okay, so Dallas, I think, he talked about after this race, taking some time off and wants to spend some time with his daughter. His rookie team, being run by Chad Stoddard, is going to get here in a top 10 finish as well, it appears. A long way to go for Chad, but he's certainly in position to do that. So Dallas has got this team. He's got the young dogs coming. Hard to believe that he takes time off.
Yeah, well, he says he is, and he's a man of commitment and true to his word. But what that shows is incredible depth in years of top athletes, top dogs. So if he wants to do it again, they're there. At Chad's finish and where he's running has kind of impressed us all at this point.
Very impressive. Let's compare these two mushers, Dallas Seavey and Brent Sass. Brent, kind of the throwback guy, right? A real woodsman, a guy that I think could have been good in any generation of the Iditarod. I think Dallas Seavey too, but Dallas to me is the ultimate modern day racer. Certainly can take care of himself in the wilderness, but he is the ultimate professional where details mean everything. And you got Brent Sass who can come in and probably rub two sticks together and make a fire, if you know what I mean. I mean, this is a guy that can get it done in the wilderness.
Well, and he lives out in Eureka, pretty much the only musher out there training intently, and he has to do it all. He's got to train dogs, then put in 100 miles of trail with a snow machine, come home, chop wood. He has to haul all of his food supplies in from Fairbanks, which is a long way. He's connected to the road system, but he's really living what we call up here the bush lifestyle. So me personally, I really respect that, because it's kind of that whole, it's not just racing sled dogs, it's the whole lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think it's apropos that we're about to crown Brent Sass the champion in the 50th year, because he's kind of a throwback. He's kind of what the mushers were in the 70s and 80s, where they came in off trap lines. They came in out of the wilderness and brought their team of dogs that were used for work around the kennel or around the house and around their properties. And so completely different than what Dallas Seavey and the modern day racer. So I think it's very apropos that in the 50th year, Brent Sass is going to get here. Let's talk about the evolution of Brent Sass. This is a guy that has done it all. This is his 6th Iditarod. He's had a couple of top 10 finishes. He's been knocking at the door the last few years, finished 3rd in 2021. Bruce, but he had his bumps and bruises along the way.
Yeah, well, he's a Yukon Quest champion. That's where he kind of cut his teeth in the sport and the racing of the sled dogs. He had races that fell apart, and he had to scratch, and then he went back and got a championship. He's pushed his way towards the top, learning slowly all the different aspects of both. I would say with Brent, both dog care and how to handle himself with sleep deprivation. You know, I think early on he always put a real focus on the dogs and ignored himself, and then would get just exhausted. And he, through running the Quest and other races and his early Iditarods, he learned that you got to take care of yourself so you make wise decisions in this sleep deprived environment, and he's just finally pulled the package together the last few years. We saw him back off
Yes.
last year and the year before a little bit, and it improved his final finish.
And you have to evolve as a musher. You just don't show up and find yourself under the Burled Arch in first place. It takes years, oftentimes more than 10 years, to build up enough knowledge to do this in a way. Brent Sass certainly had his bumps and bruises, but obviously learning, and he's proven that he's a guy that can learn from those early mistakes in his career. And we're being told, ladies and gentlemen, that Brent Sass is up off the ice. As we look down Front Street, we can see the emergency vehicles down there with the lights. He's up on Front Street. I think I just saw a headlight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to make some noise for Brent Sass. Okay, so Brent Sass coming down the street. This is the 6th Iditarod for Brent Sass, and this will be his first championship. Well, Bruce, what's he feeling right now?
He's feeling like all that work he's done is finally within sight. He told me in White Mountain that as he was coming in there, he was still looking over his shoulder for Dallas. He was convinced he might get caught yet, but when you see the finish line, he's probably finally kicking into the reward of this is all going to pay off.
Give us a sense of how tired he is right now.
He's not down now. He's up on adrenaline and happy. I mean, he's tired, but it kind of gets overwhelmed by the celebration of pulled off a long-term goal, years and years of work coming together.
Yeah, we've got a camera on Brent coming down Front Street, and we can hear him in the background. You can hear him talking to his team. And now
they're in the chute.
The folks lining the chute. Paying homage now to our next Iditarod champion. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes Brent Sass, the champion of the 50th Iditarod sled dog race from Eureka, Alaska. Bib number 27, Brent Sass, is our champion.
Quick.
Brent up talking to his team. And his lead dog. This is what it's all about. And a big hug. And there's Brent's father. It's been a long time coming. Brent, a champion of the Yukon Quest, set his sights on the Iditarod, and now in his 6th attempt, he beats the great Dallas Seavey, and he gets here first to win his first Iditarod championship. And now the snacks. And they're eating well. They are eating well. Dee John Rowe in there, saying hi to this champion. And they're checking the sled right now.
Cooker. There. The pet book is right here. Thank you.
8 days, 14 hours, 38 minutes, 43 seconds. Congratulations,
Kind
Brent.
of surreal, to be honest with you.
Okay, Brent Sass.
Yeah.
You did it. You did it.
We did it. Pretty proud. We did it.
Congratulations. Your thoughts right now, Brent?
Overwhelmed. Just happy for this dog team. Super, super, super proud. They're it's all on them. They did an excellent job the whole race. I asked a lot out of them, and they performed perfectly.
Give me a sense of how tired you are right now and how hard you just worked over these last 77 miles.
Wow, I'm tired. That was, I had to make it very interesting at the end. Once again, it was very, very windy out there. We took a tumble and went off the trail, and thought I was just gonna have to bunker down and see how the cards fell, but persevered, got up and found the trail again, and I don't even know what the wind was blowing out there. I mean, I couldn't see anything. The dogs, the only reason we got out of there is because they trusted me to get them back to the trail, and then once we got back to the trail, they just took off 100 miles an hour again, and we were able to stay on the trail and get into here. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. A lot more stories now.
Brent, you've been working a long time for this. When we talked about the bumps and bruises early in your Iditarod career, it's all come full circle now. You're a champion, and your thoughts about getting here first.
It's awesome. It's a dream come true. You know, when I started mushing, my goal was to win the Yukon Quest and win the Iditarod, and checked them both off the list now. So, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, every one of these dogs I've raised since puppies, and we've been working towards this goal the whole time, and yeah, we're here. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And talk about the guy you had to beat to get here.
Yeah, I mean, that, to be honest, that just makes it sweeter. You know, he's the best right now, you know, and being able to sort of keep him at bay the whole entire race and race against the best guy in the business, that just makes this victory even sweeter.
Congratulations. Brent Sass, an Iditarod champion.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, Bruce, we got another Iditarod champion. A new one.
A good one.
A really good one. And this is why I think we all have to make sure that Dallas Seavey comes back and races again. We've got a little rivalry going, Brent Sass, Dallas Seavey. We'll let you watch and listen for a moment.
Yeah, wow. It's amazing.
That's good, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the one thing I want to say is it's been overwhelming the amount of support I've gotten from all over the state, all over the world the last maybe 6 months. I can't tell you how many people have been, this is your year, you can do it. You can beat Dallas, you know, that was sort of the chant. And then, yeah, especially coming from all the villages. I thought all that was going to be a lot of pressure, and instead it turned into just a lot of energy. So I really, really appreciate all of the confidence and support over the last 6 months. It helped me get here for sure.
Congratulations.
That is so cool, Brent.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
your dad was in tears too.
Well, here we go.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So
Now-
good. So good.
What's the first thing he does?
Yeah.
When you got a 5-time champion running out in the street after you.
Yeah.
I think
Not
that's
bad.
Not bad.
Not bad
Not
at
bad
all.
at all.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Brent, let's get you over here and get your check.
Okay.
Okay, let's stand right here, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Come on over here, I think, Brent. Oh, you're going to bring it here.
Take these off.
You want them all?
It's time to give Brent the big check.
Harvest Midstream.
Are you Andrew?
Again.
Are you Andrew? Andrew Limmer. Okay, and your name, sir?
John Barnes.
And John Barnes.
We're going to spin everybody around here. So we're like this. All right. What's up over here? Yep. Rob, you want to do this? Why don't you?
Okay. Congratulations, Brent. Well on. Bold and brazen off the front. This is your winning prize check for the 50th race. We have our sponsors here from Harvest Midstream, Mr. Andy Limmer and John Barnes. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank
Then
you so
also
much.
is Mr. Dan Graham from Donald Gold here.
Thank you.
And Bob James from GCI. These are our principal partners.
Good to see you again, man.
I got something. I'm going to let Andrew take a quick word.
Hey Brent, on behalf of the sponsors here, Harvest Midstream and Hillcorp, we just want to congratulate you on running a great race. You really hung in there. Thanks for pulling through. You really embody the great spirit of this state of Alaska. So thanks on behalf of everybody here.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your support of the race.
All right.
Thanks.
Good.
Can you get some quick photos real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how about making some more noise for
I'm off
Iditarod
duty now,
champion? Let Brent Sass hear it. How about it for Wild and Free? And of course, the garland of roses yet to come. Art Aldridge, can you give us an idea how far out Dallas Seavey is? We're being told that Dallas Seavey is about 10 miles out.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Bruce.
Absolutely.
Get one for my kiddos.
Yeah,
Got one with you in Anchorage.
Sure. Yeah, I remember.
Well, of course, like every great musher, paying homage to his dogs when he first got under the arch. Talk about his team. They just never, ever gave in. They just kept moving north.
Yeah, what's really amazing to me is what it was described, that windstorm they went through at the very end of this. After everything else, nothing was really easy for them. So, but that little blonde leader up there, I've watched that dog the entire time, and he just gets up and does his job. And you don't get those leaders every day. Brent said he raised him as a pup. That dog's really impressed me. He's got a number of leaders, but that one is just, I've noticed when Brent's walking around in a checkpoint, that dog's heads up and always follow him there wherever he's at. So that to me indicates the bond between the two of them.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Slater, but it is a team of great dogs for Brent Sass. And now out comes an opportunity for the iconic photograph of an Iditarod champion with the garland of roses. And we'll ask Brent what two dogs he'll bring out here. Iditarod champion 2022, the 50th year.
Check this dog out looking at the roses there. Like, well, I'll take those. Is that something to eat?
Is that a snack? That's a good sign. Still hungry, still eating. And I think, let's go down. Brent down with those lead dogs now. I've been out to his place out near Eureka a few different times. And he is off the grid. Like literally, you got to cross a couple of creeks to get to his place. I remember one time in the winter I couldn't get in there, had to hike in. And he certainly is living out. And I love the fact that, Bruce, it's the 50th year and we have a throwback kind of musher winning this race.
Yeah, here comes those leaders.
Yeah. Hey, Brent, what are their names?
It's Morello and Slater.
Morello and Slater.
Slater, we're going up on top of this thing?
Yeah.
Bruce, give us a sense of how impressive these dogs are, Morella and Slater.
Well, we talked earlier about all the different conditions of the trail and the weather that was thrown at the teams, but it's these dogs that really handle that. And for Brent, I know it's the pride in raising them and seeing how they did their work in all of those different conditions. It's these dogs he will remember his entire life.
Yes.
And they don't even look tired right now.
No, they don't. They're alive. I think they're looking for some more food. They're looking for a snack. Trying to get the roses, the garland of roses around Morella and Slater. Been a long time coming for Brent Sass. A lot of work. His sixth Iditarod, which really isn't that many.
It's not at all
Iditarod
these
when you
days.
consider that he's a champion in his sixth attempt. But he's worked hard. He certainly has deserved this honor.
I think
he even admitted that it was a little sweeter because he beat Seavey getting here. And when you beat him, you know you've done something.
Well, at any point in the 50-year history of this race, the reason a lot of mushers come here is the best of the best in the world are here, even coming from Norway. So
yes.
There's the champion dogs.
Yeah, Morella and Slater and Brent Sass. That's a photograph that we never get tired of, do we? Do we, Bob James? Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's back off and we can let some people look in there. Ladies and gentlemen, your champion, Brent Sass. Morella and Slater. Okay. Hey, Bruce, let's put a bow on it. At least on Brent Sass's run. We've got our champion here. We've got many other teams to come, including Dallas Seavey, who's out in that storm right now, making his way to the finish line for another time. So a lot to come. And of course the insiders will be here throughout the very end. We've got a live camera out there in Koyuk. We've got a live stream camera out in White Mountain. And those will stay up throughout the week. And of course, we'll have every finish streamed for you at Iditarod.com.
Every finisher, every
Yes.
one of these teams, every one of these mushers and dogs that traveled the whole 1,000 miles, you'll be able to see them right here on Nome.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor. Good morning from Front Street in Nome, Alaska. We've got another Iditarod champion under the arch, and it is bib number 27, the great Brent Sass. Good morning from Nome, and we'll see you all when Dallas Seavey arrives.